Hey everyone, welcome to That Pedal Show. Dan here.
Mick here.
Mikey here. Hello.
Awesome.
Yay!
Well done. That's pro level.
Pro level.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, the incredible Mr. Mikey Demus from Skindred
Hello.
is joining us here today.
Oh, thank you for having me.
It feels, actually, before we do all of that, please subscribe, hit the subscribe button, go to That Pedal Show store and buy stuff. Skindred.com.
.net, actually.
.net.
We had a .com and then someone took it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, some crafty guy.
Skindred.net and some other things that will be in the description if you flick it down. This feels overdue
Yeah.
because we bumped into one another
Yeah.
so many times over the last 20 years
Yes.
through various things which we'll talk about during the show. But 20 years marks an important anniversary,
Yeah,
doesn't it?
I'd say so. Well, I mean, 20 years is probably just about how long I've been doing this band, give or take, maybe a little bit over 20 years. I sort of lost count at about 20 years. It could be more, could be a bit less. No, I think it's at least 20 years I've been in the band I'm in, doing what I'm doing, making it work, you know, making a living from playing guitars.
Imagine that. Imagine that.
Yeah, the dream.
That's incredible.
Yeah, but we have run into each other on multiple occasions at like trade shows and live events and guitar community things. And obviously, you know, known you guys for a long time. Been dying to come on the show and show off all my old stuff that doesn't work. Thanks to Dan, who made this entire pedal board a thing today. I turned up with a box of crap and went, "Can you make this a thing?" And he did, and it's really amazing. So I'm really happy to be here.
This is not my finest work.
Oh my God.
You know, please respect my privacy in this difficult time.
Your finest work is like way better than most people's what they could dream of achieving with a few cables and 20 minutes to cobble it all together. And I told you, I've never had anyone else build me a pedal board ever.
Well, this is
in my life.
it's an honor. You know, well, a bit of VT.
This is earlier in the day. It's Mikey.
Hi.
Here's Daniel. You know him. So what's going on then?
Grabbed the trusty Velcro disabler, ripped a few things off. So Mikey has brought in a big box of pedals to make some noises, show us a few things. We're going to just throw this on a board and put it together. Now, normally,
It's a ton of old stuff. It has weird power requirements and I'm difficult and didn't bring a pedal board.
Yeah.
Basically, do you know no one's ever built me a pedal board, ever.
Seriously?
Never. Always done it myself. So this is like the first.
He needs a hug.
I know, even watching you do it, I'm like, why didn't I do this sooner? I do it all myself. I'm nuts.
Normally what I would do, because there's a bunch of buffers and stuff going on here that I would normally bypass, but for what we're doing today, we're just going to run everything in series, power everything properly. Mm-hmm. The purpose of today is for Mikey to show us really how some of these like amazing trippy sounds that are going on and how he achieves those. I mean, I'm already seeing amazing things like Memory Man into micro synth, you know, into the line 6 and then, you know, the DL4 at the end, which is a, you know.
Why don't we get into that in a while?
We'll get into that in a bit.
Let's get into that in a while.
All we're going to do is, I'm going to keep this really simple, series, power everything, and away we go.
Yeah, pedals in front of an amp,
There we
basically.
go. In front of amps.
Amps.
Come
Plural.
on. Okay. Whammy 1.
Yeah.
Very nice. Very particular with this power supply. Has to be 9 volts AC. Do not try power this with a DC supply. So, yeah. Does it go on here now? Mikey has the loop.
The incorrect side.
The incorrect side here. So it's...
That's because you're left-handed, isn't it?
Correct, yeah. Pedal boards are backwards. When you're a lefty, pedal boards are the wrong way around.
Yeah.
It's a really serious point, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, one thing about having... So what I'm going to do, just to put on the board so nothing moves around when we're filming, but one cool thing about having the hook side on the pedals is that you can stick them on carpet and they don't move.
Right.
So when you're trying things out and you just put them on, it just you know.
I think that's why it's like that. I'm gonna assume that's why.
So your carpet is hooked Velcro.
It must be. It must just be like. It must be.
You just have to avoid the vomit parts of the carpet, don't you? That's most of the places I play.
Okay.
So Dan, you're going to hook these up. No switcher, just get them powered in series. You just said.
Yep.
And the next time we see them, we'll be in the room.
Yeah, but
it's nice.
I would love to do a board for you that you can go and, you know.
Yeah, of course.
If you've never had a pedal board done.
Right. Never.
Okay.
But you do the stuff yourself though, right?
I do, yeah.
You have a pedal company. So one would, you're quite au fait with doing this.
Yeah, but I guess it's like, I do a lot of driving as well, but I'm still like a chauffeur, you know? I want to drive everywhere.
That's very good.
Yeah.
Okay.
I need to get you the power for these. Actually.
Next up, live room.
All right.
Let me run and get that.
So the board is here to help us knit together some stories. Mikey, we want to hear about what some of your favourite guitar tones are, why you've put these things on the board today. But perhaps in the context of how that has changed over these years, particularly with the band. Because let's start there and say your most recent record has been quite the success.
Yeah, it's been a good year to be in Skindred, I'm not going to lie. It's been really good. We spoke about this earlier. The new album Smile, that came out in August on Earache Records. That got to number 2 in the UK album chart, which is a huge feat for a reggae, punk rock, metal, dancehall band from South Wales.
Amazing.
Up against, some really big acts in the race to the number 1. We got to the number 2 spot, which we were all really stoked with.
But you were at number 1 for a while.
We were at number 1 all week. And then all I'm going to say is that major labels going to major label with when they're trying to break their singer-songwriter. And that's all I can say about it. But it was always going to be that way, I think. But we had a really great week and the rock community got behind us. We were doing this week of acoustic shows. The band was really united and everyone was in the back of a van. We did like 3 shows a day around Oxford, Exeter, blah, 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 blah. And everyone was really, just unified and pushing towards like the march to victory, which was an amazing week. And we, like you said, we were in the lead all the way through the midweeks, number 1 spot, which is something we never thought would be a thing. We thought it'd be, we get a top 10 record, we're just inside the top 10, but it was properly like in the home straight to victory, which was amazing.
But then Jules Holland?
That led to us doing a ton of TV stuff over the past few weeks, which, we were on BBC Breakfast. I got a call on the Friday night going, what are you doing? I'm literally just making dinner. What is it? And can you be in Manchester in a couple of hours? I was like, okay, and then got on the train and got to Manchester and did BBC Breakfast on Saturday morning at
Who were the presenters?
It's the regular 2. It's the
Charlie, is it?
Yes, I think so. I don't think it was her actually.
No.
It was another lady, I think.
It's been a while since I've watched BBC Breakfast.
Same. But it was really slick and really pro. And we were in and out. It was really, really surreal. And then obviously
that pedal show. You mean?
Oh well, no. I mean, this has been an amazing day. It's been an absolutely amazing day, and I'll just have to commend you both for your patience with all my nonsense.
Oh, it's okay.
Basically,
we're drunk.
So there's no better way because there's so much stuff on here. I mean, all right, so we recognise the Memory Man.
Yeah.
Dan will talk us through it in a sec, but there's a load of stuff on here that we don't recognise and we're not familiar with. So we're super happy about hearing it today.
And super happy about hearing the Redbeard FX in particular, which is your thing.
It is, yeah. That's the company I co-run with Adrian Thorpe of Thorpe FX, who's obviously Titan UK pedal builder. Amazing. I approached Thorpe for some advice about starting a pedal brand a few years ago, and I'd met him at a trade show and we'd done some stuff together, and he sort of thought about it and thought, I want to do this with you. And how do you say no to that situation, really?
Cool. I wouldn't make a habit of saying no to Thorpe personally.
No. I mean, he could literally rip your head off with his small.
If you're watching this, and Georgia, if you're watching this, love to you guys.
Thorpe was really into the idea of doing it together, and obviously with the Thorpe brand, I think Thorpe has ideas all the time about new effects, and some stuff sort of fits the Thorpe mold. Some stuff doesn't, and I had some needs and some weird ideas, and sort of somewhere in between that, all the Redbeard stuff is born.
Amazing.
What's it called, Redbeard?
Well, yeah, very good. Very good. Very good. I went back and forth with like a couple of names and I took some advice of like, you should really call it Redbeard. And I was like, you think maybe? And I've, constantly have to explain why it's called that. Although it's more like sort of Greybeard that's coming along.
Come on.
Yeah.
This is where I'm headed. This is where I want to get to.
It is. I mean, it's a beard game with no equal, I would say.
Oh, thank you.
Very strong.
Thank you very much.
strong.
Thank you.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
used to be redder, but it's cool. I like the salt and pepper vibes as well.
Call up a new record. Remind me what the record's called.
Record is called Smile.
Smile and Gimme That Boom is
One of the singles, yeah.
which, oh my God, it's a sonic. It just sounds absolutely colossal. First question I asked Mike today was, who produced that record?
Yep. So Julian Emery produced the record. He's the guy who did some stuff with Nothing But Thieves. He's written a bunch of stuff with lots of other bands like McFly and other kind of, lots of radio-centric bands, that kind of thing. He's done all kinds of stuff. He's got a great history in songwriting and production. And a big part of the sound as well, it was engineered by Pete Hutchins and also George Perks, George is the resident engineer at Vader Studios, where we recorded, which is an absolutely incredible facility. And Pete Hutchins was the engineer, and he sort of works with Royal Blood quite closely. So
cool.
He's like a tone guy, and those guys know their thing too. So
I'll just do I'm really into all of that kind of thing at the moment. And I will just say that you can hear the cohesiveness in the record.
Yeah.
It's done together. It sounds massive. If you don't mind me saying, it sounds like budget.
thank you. Oh yeah, definitely.
Sounds like money.
Yeah.
It
It was.
really-
We didn't do it cheaply. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
It really, so please give it a listen. And
Very fortunate to be able to do that in this day and age, where it's like we did a proper record, where it's like
Yeah, totally.
we've spared no expense. The voice you're now hearing is Richard Kiley. You know what I mean? Yeah, we really did it. Go.
But there's a difference, unless you really, really know what you're doing. The recording at home and everything, the technology we have available to us is incredible. But going into a room and having guys that you trust at the helm and you just doing what you do, so you don't have to think about any of that stuff. And
It's massive.
Yeah,
the guitar tones, man.
Thank you.
yeah. I want to hear Here Comes the Boom on UFC, some massive dude walking down ready to...
It has got
Cool
that kind of
destruction. It
UFC
really
entry
does.
music. You said that straight away. It's got that. It's been on Formula One a bunch.
Okay.
Crofty is a massive Skindred fan. Random.
There you go.
Yeah, Crofty's now my mate, and we text me like, we text each other. It's the whole thing. And yeah, he's a huge Skindred fan, and
Brilliant,
he's
mate.
been championing the band like for no other reason other than he just loves it, which is wild, And there's all kinds of stuff like that going on at the moment, where there's just awareness of the band is like an all-time high, and we've got loads of great stuff going on. So
It's great.
a good time to be alive.
A couple decades in to be having your best time.
Yeah.
What a wonderful thing.
8th album, like weird,
Wow.
that we've managed to steer the course all the way through.
There is an elephant in the room, which a lot of people will be screaming at the screen. Why are there no orange amps here today?
Well, for the main reason that all my gear is currently in the back of a vehicle headed to Europe, to mainland Europe, because I'm currently on tour. This is like a break in the schedule where I've managed to grab a couple of my guitars and a handful of effects pedals from my personal stash, and just rock up with it. Everything else is headed to Germany right now.
Right.
Please don't beat us up about that. Lots of people think we've got something against orange amps. We really, really don't. We were genuinely hoping Mikey would turn up today with some oranges. Instead, we've put together Paul Stacey's 1969 Laney supergroup and a Marshall 50-watt Plexi going through a couple cabs. Happy?
Sounds great. The two together especially, like
Yeah, it's
they're both
amazing.
doing a thing. Very different, but together it's like, woo!
Yeah, really fun.
It's not often that I plug this, like the Skindred guitars, which are in drop C, they're quite sort of aggro, that you plug it into a crunchy clean amp and it already sounds brilliant. Like normally it's like you have to drive it hard to have like the sound, but straight away these two, it's like, whoa.
Yeah.
So you have a signature Manson guitar.
This is like the new prototype. This isn't out yet. This is going to be coming out next year,
Oh, right.
by all accounts. As I've been showing off, it's very light.
Yeah.
It's made of abeshi. It weighs almost nothing, which I love. I'm used to guitars weighing a lot more. And the one I could show you the original one. And
Yeah.
compare it
Yeah,
if
we'll
you
go.
like,
Maybe we'll get to that in a sec.
Yeah,
Are
okay,
they,
okay.
Are they regular scale?
Yeah, I think they're just like Telecaster scale.
Yeah,
So what's that, 25 and a half?
Yeah.
Is that, yeah, I think
Yeah.
so.
but down to C.
Yeah, down to C. The strings I use are my own signature gauge with rotor sound. and they're 10 to 54. So it's not like massive.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
they're like kind of skinny top, heavier bottom. And yeah, I don't find that they flap around or anything. They've got just enough like give. I don't like really heavy strings. You know, I know some people use really big meaty stuff, but I've never really gone into the 7-string domain or the really big stuff. I just
down tune and let it go.
it's never really appealed. I kind of like want to push a regular guitar to the limits of like how good of it sounding good, just to the edge of it sounding crap. Do you know what I mean?
Let's have a listen then. I'm going to be up and down turning the amps on and off because they are gained up a bit and they will make a noise, which will annoy me when I process the audio.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, I think want to say that they're PAFs. They're Manson's own pickups that are like psychopath pickups. So they're pretty much just PAF style. Maybe that one's slightly hotter. Something on just to make it spicy. A very chunky rhythm sound, I find.
It surely is.
I tell you what I love about it though. It's not like overgained.
Yeah.
No.
And this is coming from, clearly, Dan and I aren't really in the heavy world, and I think our knowledge of it is certainly limited, it would be fair to say.
You were the editor of
Metal Hammer.
magazine. I'll remind you.
Did not know that.
Yeah. They were dark days.
Did you have long hair at that point?
Tell me you did, and tell me there's a photo.
No, I might have been mid. I did have long hair around that time.
I thought it was like prerequisite for working there. You got to have like be a long-haired person, but I don't know.
And one's preconception of heavy music is that it is incredibly overgained, and that is not. It's clear. It just, you're getting the bounce off that bottom string.
Yeah, it's more of like how you hit it. I've never really been drawn to gear that's like, this is what you use to play heavy music.
Yeah.
It just seems too much. There was a period when I was using like LTD guitars, which were perfectly good guitars, but it just felt like it's not me. Like it just felt too far down the road, you know. Never really been into the super distorted, you know, like American sounding amps. I think probably like the orange thing, like the Rock-Reverb, was the first heavy amp that I tried that was like, I can get on board with this, you know. Mazers, like the heavy, like the dual rectifier thing, not for me. You know.
So this board isn't indicative of what you'd use with Skindred. It's more a case of things that you've put together to have some fun today. What's the gainiest we might get here?
The gainiest, I guess, probably a combination of like the two drive pedals. I've got the Red Mist set up for more of a kind of honky thing. I'll explain that, what I've done with that. The Rhubarb's like the overall overdrive sound.
Right.
It's different in that it's a parametric EQ.
Yeah.
And well, almost parametric. It doesn't have a Q control. The Q's fixed, but it's got you can pick the frequency and how much or little gain you want to give that particular frequency, and it's got a gain before the EQ and a gain after the EQ.
Oh, cool.
So you can kind of push the front, or like, which is kind of, you know, mid gain, and then the post gain is like the big amp like thing, I find. That's kind of the main tone, and you know, used in combination with the Red Mist is kind of really overkill. But the way I have this Red Mist set up is it's really midly. When we kind of discovered that when you pin the mid on it and turn everything else, well, turn the gain down, it's got this weird, almost like Queens of the Stone Age, boxy mid-range. Like the mid's like its own gain control. It's really weird.
Right. Well, let's hear that.
Let's hear it.
Yeah, absolutely. honkiness to it, which is just killer. You know, very different. It wasn't necessarily designed to do that thing. We kind of discovered that, you know, like a happy accident where the mid's just got this really wild sweep where it really sucks everything out or really puts loads of mids in, and it's like its own game controller.
It's super cool because the guitar's tuned down.
Yeah.
That brings its own bottom end.
Yeah.
So it's a different relationship than it would be with a standard tuned guitar, I think. But literally the first note you played, the first thing I thought of was Josh Homme.
Yeah. And again, not massively intentional, but just a really cool, my God, it's like that. And like you said, something about the tuning, my approach to playing, a lot of this stuff would be used in a Skindred context. The whammy, the line 6 stuff was some of the stuff I had really early on. The rest of it's sort of more for fun. But what I would say is my approach to having to be the guitar player, I'm the only guitar player in the band.
Yeah.
So you're covering quite a lot of ground as a guitarist. You know, obviously the bass, I've never tried to like steal the low end of what the bass players like trying to do. And I know some approach to like heavy guitar now like since I've been playing has been someone's trying to cover a lot of ground in that way, but I haven't tried to steal the bass player's frequency range, if you like. It's just about making as much impact in traditional guitar land with some caveats, do you know? Rather than being like this massive metal sound. It's weird. I find that I've always said that the foundation of a good guitar tone is a good bass tone, you know? And so you listen to the record and it's like, I get a lot of credit for it, but it's also a lot to do with what's going on with the bass, which is nothing to do with me. And you know, a lot of the riffs is like we're sometimes playing things which complement and contrast each other, and that's a big part of the sound, which I have to say is, you know.
And you said you might stack these?
Yeah, so I would probably, let me just turn that down a little bit because that might be a little bit crazy, but I'll just take the mid out there because otherwise it's going to just be so honking. Let me turn both these on and see what happens. Gristly, you know, it's quite full on. It's a lot, but I wouldn't necessarily leave both those on all the time because it's very full on. But the sound that I've put in the Red Mist there is kind of everything at midday and then turned up a little bit.
2 o'clock.
Right.
There you go.
Right.
At 2 o'clock. It's ripping, is what it is. It's a ripping guitar sound. But the amps are doing quite different things. They're complementing each other. Like the Laney is caving in, super gainy, squashing. The Marshall keeps some of the transients, and it's quite the experience out here. Again, very outside of mine and Dan's day-to-day tonal fare.
Yeah. Well, when I started playing the guitar, I wasn't necessarily dropping guitars to drop C and that kind of thing. I grew up trying to play like Jimi Hendrix and Jimmy Page and that kind of thing, a very sort of traditional approach. And then at some point had this realization that I was never going to be like one of these guitar players. I had to sort of find my own thing. And then discovering sort of heavier alternative music in my teens, bands like Rage Against the Machine and you know, Soundgarden and all this amazing American music and some stuff in the UK too. Kind of found my own thing, took some stuff from some people, you know, did a bit of detuning and just wanted to jump around and play riffs and then do some weird noises on top of it. And somewhere along the way, that's what I've sort of become known for.
I do need to ask you one thing.
Yeah.
The left-handed thing. You're not naturally left-handed.
That's correct, yeah.
How?
Okay. So both my parents are lefties. I'm right-handed. I write right-handed, do everything right-handed. I just learnt on my dad's guitar. My dad handed me a guitar one day. Well, I don't know if he even handed it to me. I just was like, that's what a guitar looks like. No one corrected me. No one said, you know, that's backwards, by the way. Just FYI, I swear, even though before I had an inclination to pick up a guitar and play it, I want to say that just playing this way just felt normal and right and correct. I don't remember ever being like, you know, the tennis racket or in the mirror and that feeling normal. That always felt alien, which is super weird because I think maybe I was destined to be a left-handed person. And then at some point, maybe at school, they steered me.
Well, two lefties. It's, what do they call it? double negative, make a positive.
Yeah.
2 left, make a right.
There you go.
There you go. They've
Could be
gone
that.
180.
But for some reason, I just went with it. And it wasn't until I was really, really committed that I'd sort of realised that a guitar isn't necessarily this way around.
See, I think there's something in that, right? Because a lot of my favourite guitar players are left-handed, and I think it accesses different areas of the brain. Certainly, creativity. You know, I used to, when I was doing silly practice, I used to practice writing left-handed and stuff, but I'd never, like, playing guitar left-handed is so, if that's not your thing, I mean, even just trying to think about where the fingers go now, I see my fingers go, stop thinking about it.
Right, it's weird.
But it does, like, for example, Paul McCartney's bass playing, you know, being a lefty, and a lot of people have said and Jimi Hendrix and these things, there's a creative element I see in left-handed guitar players that it might be something, it might be nothing, but there does seem to me to be a thread, and I would include you in that.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's just, you know, there's a really creative element in what you do, which is amazing.
Yeah, thanks. I could see what you're saying though. It's like an alternative to maybe right-handedness. It's weird. I know what you're saying there. My daughter's left-handed, and she's showing some interest into wanting to pick up a guitar, and I have the conundrum of whether to allow her to just do what feels right or to like force her the other way, which would make more sense if it was something she wanted to pursue, I guess. But I don't know. I really like the leftiness.
Yeah,
it's a talking
very
point.
cool.
It's, you know, it makes things a bit different, but it does hold you back.
Which foot do you whammy with?
My right foot,
Okay.
which is weird.
Okay.
Which is
wow.
weird. This is my whammy foot.
That is good for pedal boards, though, isn't it? Because pedal boards go
Right.
left to right, and if you're right-footed, it's a real left-footed. It's a pain in the butt.
But I am left-footed.
Oh,
But
come
I
on.
use my. I'm not joking. I'm not joking. Like when I kick a ball, it's with my left foot. It's
You're
really weird.
amphibious, aren't you? That's what it is.
I don't know.
Amphibious.
I'm just really, really bizarre. But then on like a surfboard, I surf regular style.
Right.
So I'm a right mess. And if I was to play a drum kit, I think it would be left-handed.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which is
Oh, you can play open-handed. How cool is that?
yeah,
You know, people play open-handed.
yeah. I think that's cool. But I'm a bit of a mess. I'm all over the shop. So, but yeah, this is my whammy
Open-handed,
foot.
double traditional.
Yeah. But if I was ever going to play the drums, I'd have to change it because for the practicalities of jumping on someone else's drum kit, it's like, sorry, I've got to change everything about this before I can even begin. I mean, it's like that. That's the most annoying thing about leftiness is not being able to play. Like I can't pick up anything of yours and have a go.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
just the way I'm used to it, but it's annoying.
I think that's what Dan is driving at. There is a forced narrowing of
Yeah, like
options.
limitation,
Therefore,
yeah.
creativity is the only way out of that.
Right.
Yeah, I think there's a brain thing to it as well. Left side, right side brain. There's something. I think there's something there. But definitely the narrow of options. Like we had Mike Van Aert on recently. You know, left-handed, just a truly amazing guy.
When we got him to write his lines out at the end, though, it was a mess.
Yeah,
He's genius. He's like, I don't know if you ever talked to him about like time signature and stuff, but it's like, it's
Ocean Size.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. It's criminally underrated. Amazing band.
Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant. And his own solo stuff as well. He took it all off Spotify and I'm gutted.
Oh,
He
okay.
had an album called The Demon Joke, which I absolutely love, and I can't listen to it because it's not up anywhere.
Right.
I mean, I'd get it as a physical format for sure, but I don't even have anything to play it on. But anyway, I digress.
You mean you haven't got a vinyl on the dashboard of your car?
No, I could listen to it at home, but no, can't listen to it on the move. I listened to it on airplanes for like a whole summer, and it was like a soundtrack to a year, and now it's gone. Yeah, but going back to what you were saying about the limitation, which I totally love, the idea of like, you know, the Jack White approach of less is more, you know, limiting yourself, fueling that creativity. Tom Morello's been using the same 5-6 pedals for 30 years.
Yeah.
Totally, you know, getting more out of what you've already got. I love that. But when it comes into like guitar world, like actual physical guitars, it was a real, a bit of a hurdle to get past. Because like when you get into the position where you have a company going, how would you like your guitar to be? And you have such little frame of reference. You know, like what kind of neck shape are we talking here? I'm like, do you like a 60s or 61 or 62? I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I couldn't tell you the difference. I've never picked up a 61 guitar or like a Strat and played it and compare it to something. I know. Do you know what I mean? I don't know them well enough to be able to go, oh yeah, I know the differences. Here we go.
Okay, that's 61
Here we go.
Strat.
Here we go. Is this an actual 61?
Yeah.
So don't ding it then.
Ding it as much as you like, mate.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what a 61 Strat neck feels like.
Okay, it's quite glossy.
It's more glossy than any custom shop you'd really believe.
It's had a finish, an over finish. See, now you're Doyle Bramall. Now you actually are Doyle
Yeah.
Bramall.
Is he a lefty who plays a...
Yeah, exactly like that.
Okay.
That's the 61
Oh wow, it's so light.
Les Paul Jr.
Oh my gosh. Love that.
Yep.
One pickup, amazing. Oh, it's so light. I love that. I'm going to do what you did. This is like vengeance. Hold on.
You still sound better than I did.
I don't know. Oh, I don't know. I can't even sit it on my knee properly. Hold on. Oh my god.
2, 3,
I can't
hang
now.
on.
No. Oh my god.
Ready?
Yeah,
2,
okay.
3, 4.
Oh, it's in a different tuning. Oh god, where are we? All right, okay. I don't even know what it is. Hold
I
on.
was just doing the impy dance.
This is like being 12 again,
Yeah.
but the wrong way round. That's what I should have done.
I did
Thank
think
you.
that, yeah, there's something
For
in
anyone
that
that's
with,
just turned off,
with
you
guitar players.
missed a great video. That's
Yeah, I've been playing upside down guitars for a good chunk of my life.
Right.
There was a period where I played a Ibanez RG tuned up, strung upside down with the knobs here and the Floyd Rose and all that mess. And it was because it was just what you get your hands on, you know.
Yeah.
Like I had all my gear stolen when I was like 17 out the back of a car, including like a Les Paul that belonged to my dad, and that was the whole thing. Yeah, it was misery. Not that I left it overnight in a car. I parked up in the car park, ran in to get my shifts from this bar I was working at, came back out 3 minutes later, and it was all gone. That's a misery. And then I replaced. I think I went out and replaced my main guitar that had been stolen with an SG, and that's the guitar I joined Skindred with, which was just one very simple black, humble 2 pickup guitar. And they stung me a bit on Denmark Street because I didn't really know what I was getting. It said Gibson at the top, and I was like, "Oh my god!" But I think it was just like it's a SG
Gibson.
special. It was a real one, but it was like it wasn't like a standard, and I didn't know the difference. So it was that they sold me like a £600-700 guitar for like £1,000.
Right.
Oh.
And I didn't know any better, and now I'm like, oh yeah, curses. But I still got that one, and that's retired from use. It just lives at home, and that's the guitar I took all the way around the world like 10 times early in the 2000s for Skindred. And then sort of worked my way through various different kinds of guitars, trying to find my thing. And then landed here, which is amazing. Was playing tellies for a while. One of them went missing on a flight, like Air France. Lost my number 1 telly, my Ratocaster, yeah. So I retired that. As soon as I got it back, it was like, that's never coming out again. Because it was like it's a cheap guitar for what it is. It's a Mexican guitar body, Mexican Fender body, and like a Highway 1 Strat neck,
Okay.
bolted together. Just worked. It was brilliant. Put 2 hot rails for telly in it, and it's just amazing. It's amazing. It's just my favourite thing. Big, massive frets. Absolutely loved it. Toured that for like 5 or 6 years, and then when it went missing, like we did a layover, like a change in Charles de Gaulle Airport, and it was a really short amount of time, and it was like we had to get to somewhere else in Europe, and basically our gear didn't come with us. Sort of we made it, but the gear didn't, and so it was following us around for about a week, and eventually got it back. I was like, oh god, never again. So that guitar now lives at home, and thankfully it was around the same time that Manson had approached me and said, do you want to play our guitars? And they lent me a couple of bits, and I said, I'd love to make some tweaks. And then next thing you know, I've got a signature guitar out of it, which is absolutely
amazing,
radical. Oh my God. Like, what is even life?
That's so good.
Mate, we'll come back to the guitar in a sec. You mentioned criminally underrated earlier.
Yeah.
That's the first time I've seen a Line 6 filter FM4. Is that what it's called?
Filter model, yeah.
In so many years.
Yeah.
Can we hear what you do with it?
Absolutely.
Please?
So I pulled this out of storage, and I think it had a couple of really ancient presets in it, remembered. Some of them I'm like, what the hell would that have even been used for? Because that's the kind of pedal it is.
Yeah.
When I was like in overdub mode on records, it was never like, this is the chance for me to do like cool licks. It was like, how do I make some weird, impactful, what is that sounds? And that pedal was like opened up a lot, especially when your band's got like this kind of dancehall element where it's like in the verses, I don't necessarily want to be all over it. I want to drop out and like leave space for bass and what can you impart? What sounds can you make to make it like weird, synthy, gurgle, weird, stick your head out noises? And that pedal was like unlocked so much. But let's see what it does. So I think on this one, I think it's just like a parked wah, which was good for like. Which was great for like high gain, like
so synthy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got does all kinds of weird and wonderful stuff. This thing. And then the next one I assume is some kind of this is like, I think they call this a throbber. It's like being in a bath. It sounds like farting in the bath. Yeah,
hit with that. It's really good.
You can really feel the speaker moving. It's weird, right? Yeah, it's a riff machine. This thing is like, the only bugger about it is that you couldn't tweak the speed in a consistent way to like be able to play to a click or anything. Okay. It's random. Yeah. So stuff like that just then, you couldn't dial in a BPM. I have the rack mount ones where you can dial the BPM and it's like you're in the grid, you know what I mean? But that's like random. It would eventually go out of time with the metronome or whatever. This thing is based on like a seek wah, which was a ZVEX pedal. Yeah. It's basically 8 parked wahs where you change the frequency and it just dances through them. Again, you just can make these like rhythmic things with it, which you would never have thought to play, but the effect is bringing so much to the table. You can play something quite simple, but the effect's changing it and modulating it in a way that brings all this rhythm. And again, it's like really pushing the low end. Very weird. Very weird. Hard to control, but very weird.
You can make the front of house engineer at Wembley Arena really happy, especially with that ice pick in the forehead.
Yeah, every now and again, every 8th note, like.
Yeah, because you did that, right?
Yeah. Well, we're playing Wembley next March.
March, that's amazing.
Yes, I want to say it's the 16th or 17th of March. We're doing a little run around the UK in Birmingham, London, and Manchester, and Wembley Arena is on the list, which is a first for us, which is huge.
It's too cool.
Absolutely huge.
It's
Absolutely huge. Yeah, very happy about that. Very excited about that. So tickets, Ticketmaster, wherever you get your tickets, that's where you can get them. Yeah, skindred.net, you can get tickets there, I believe.
Micro synth?
Yeah, so the micro synth, it's kind of like, I guess it's like their pre-Pog, wasn't it? It does a lot of what the Pog does, but I think it brings gain to the table as well, rather than just pitch. And I can't remember exactly where this was set, but... Tracks really amazingly.
And the gate is amazing.
Yeah, the gate's probably the most satisfying thing about it. Like, I mean, you can control like the sub octave and what you're hearing and the high octave. It will do a rate thing as well, where it kind of eases in and out, which I don't use so much, but it's just the overall leave on tone is great. But what I love about the gate is why this is here, is if you fire a delay pedal into it, it does like this really cool like synth thing. Sort of cuts the delays off in a really weird way. It's kind of got this kind of dancey, weird electronic feel to it. Oh, wait, see what I'm doing here? Hold on a sec. Yeah, again, just playing really simple stuff into it. Kind of, the effect is doing a lot for you.
It's particularly effective at 107 decibels.
Yeah, moving the speaker. Yeah,
love it.
Yeah, yeah. When you find like there's a lead line that you can put in that just it unlocks a song, and it's like, oh my god, that's the vibe of the song.
I know it's closer to your world, Dan, but it's so far out for me.
Yeah.
But it's so inspiring, like exactly what you just said. The minute that it starts happening, song ideas, they're just right there.
Yep.
Have you ever seen that video that Bill Bailey does where the edge's gear goes wrong? There's a lot of that going on. Like what I'm actually playing a lot of the time is so barbarically simple and like obvious and not highbrow at all. But then with a combination of a couple of boxes, it's like, how do you do that? Yeah. And it's really just sometimes just a couple of things doing what it does and making it weird, you know. That's and cool. Yeah, and again, it's not necessarily always on tone. It's not like a ripping, amazing rhythm or satisfying bluesy tone, but for the heart of a song, like the riff, the sound, the lick of a song, that's like it unlocks creativity or inspires a lyric or a vocal that's like, oh my god, that would never have come before unless you turn that very box on. That's what I love about pedals, is that what it can drag out of you that you would never sit down to do. Yeah. You know, because when I pick up a guitar, I play A and noodle around and play some boogie, bluesy stuff. But it's not until you like turn weird stuff on that you can go, oh my god, like you stumble on stuff, you know?
How do you rein it in so that when you're in a writing phase for a new record or whatever, how do you go, oh...
It's tricky. I find that this stuff a lot of the time nowadays is icing on the cake rather than the main event. You know, I've found that in terms of songwriting, the stuff I'm most happy with comes to me when I'm not near any of this stuff and I'm driving along in the car or I'm in the shower or something, and an idea for like a vocal melody will inspire, like that'll be in my head and I'll remember that, and then I'll sit down with the guitar and figure out something around it. I'm finding that's more the case these days because I do a lot of writing with other artists, do some production stuff, and so that's sort of, I've learned to lean into that a bit rather than, very seldom do I sit down with the gear and go, right, let's write a tune. Okay. It never really happens because my hands go to the same place and my head goes to the same place, and it's just, there's a frustration with not being able to come with something original quickly. And I found just to lean in, to trust that ideas come when your mind's free to like have them, when you're not thinking about stuff, when your mind's busy on the M4 trying not to crash, or you're in the shower having an argument with the shower, you know, it's like, oh, I've just had this fantastic idea. and that's where, you know, I think good ideas come from a lot of the time for songs and things. Yeah. And you know, and this is just cool stuff that I find elevates what you're able to do to be interesting and different. You know, there's stuff on this board that will do familiar, comforting like guitar stuff, but then there's stuff on this board that will do outlandish, weird, why would anybody want to sound like that stuff, which I really enjoy too, you know?
Because I was going to ask you, there's a really huge percentage of the population at the moment that's very quite sad that they don't have any riffs.
Right.
Effectively riffless.
Yeah.
And, I was going to ask you about the riffs. I mean, is there a number they can call, or if we want to help these people out, what do we...
There should be a number they could call. We should do that. 1-800-RIFF. 1-800-RIFF person.
Listening to your stuff, it's like the riffs they're massive, but they're so creative. They're so integral to the song. I think as someone who's written, a handful of songs, and that's hard enough, but actually coming up with creative riffs, like album number 8, you're saying, how do you keep that? Where do you find the fresh riffs?
Again,
take me to Fresh Riff City.
Take me to Fresh Riff City. Oh, I mean, I always have that anxiety of like, God, how am I gonna top the last thing? Like, how am I gonna do that? I even after like 20 plus years, I'm still going, like, what's next? How do you do something better on the last thing you did? And I've tried to learn to just not fall victim to that and just trust that the ideas are there and they come to you when you're ready to accept them in a weird, mystical way. It's certainly true for me. I don't know about other people, but typically what I've always tried to do is in the context of a record, because we're still lucky enough that we get to make records. And in the context of a record, you can't have 8 songs that all do the same thing. You want 2 or 3 that are designed to do this, 3 or 4 that are maybe a bit like that. And then where's the light? Where's the shade? What does this record need? Where's like the 2.5 minute like stupidity punk thing? Where's the 3 minute like jump up and down crowd thing? And a lot of the time, if it's something like that, I'll picture a crowd up and down, bouncing up and down, and being like, what's the tempo of that?
That's cool. That's very cool.
That's the main thing. I don't think I ever really think about a guitar riff without thinking about what are the drums doing.
Yeah.
And like they're inseparable as far as I'm concerned. Like I would never try and tread on my drummer's toes because it's phenomenal, but
amazing,
I never walk in with an idea and go, I have no idea what you're going to do on this. I know exactly what I want it to be like,
right?
And I know exactly where the kick drum's supposed to be in a natural way, in a groove orientated way.
And when you're writing that, and when you come in with a riff, do you get with Benji and he? How does that work? Do you have melodies that you both work with? And
yeah, he's an ideas person, so he has like 150 ideas a day.
Amazing.
And like, it's sifting through the stuff which you don't think is going to work and honing in on the stuff which you think is amazing is the challenge. So, we've done loads of stuff together where he's come with a vocal idea and I work around that, or vice versa. Like I'll come with a riff or series of riffs, a bag of riffs I call it, and we'll something will come out of it, But sometimes what's happened more over the last couple of years is I'll come with a vocal idea as well, and then we'll kind of finesse that together.
Right.
Because in the same way that I get stuck, like sometimes one of your guys will be like, you'll feel like this is ground we've covered before. You can do better than this. I know you've got more in you. And sometimes you need to pull that out of them. Because, some people they'll do what they think is right on it. But after 20 years, I want to be like inspired and titillated by like what everyone's doing. And if I feel like it's not right or not enough, it's like sometimes that's the battle you've got to have. And so sometimes it's like that. Sometimes I'll have an idea. Sometimes he'll top it, vice versa. And we'll just go back and forth.
That's the beauty of being in a band.
Yeah,
that's
right.
It's the chemistry, and it's everyone having a shared goal, and it's not about it's wanting the songs to be the best they can be, and 100%. Everyone's in that. I love that. I think
that's the challenge. I think.
Yeah, totally.
After all this time, still respecting each other's position and ideas and influence, and helping that, and like dragging the best out of each other, and just working together. It's that's a skill in itself, just keeping it all together.
But I can't imagine, with what you guys do, and it's just, when you're on stage doing what you guys do, it still must be the most fun thing that you can possibly do.
It's very exhilarating.
Yeah.
And I do enjoy that, and I love being able to do that. And sometimes you get a bit desensitized to that. Like, we don't tend to have bad nights or bad gigs.
Okay.
Like a bad gig for Skindred is like, people would be like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, you know, and it might just be like when you're in the lull of a tour in the middle where it's like, especially this time of year, it's like, it gets darker earlier.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about, well, you know, stuff I've got to sort out back home. Like you find your mind wandering and it's like, you'll literally be on stage, like on autopilot playing, like singing, nobody gets out of this place. Like, and like thinking, yeah, am I going to see my dad this Christmas? Or am I going to, like, I should give him a ring. And like, you find yourself just wandering off. And I'm guilty of that. Like not being in the moment and being like, oh my God.
How do you snap back in?
I think after the fact, I watch stuff back and go, crikey, that was good, wasn't it? Like I'm a very stressed and anxious person about stuff a lot of the time. A lot of the time I'm thinking, how's my rig going to fall to bits? Like, am I going to fall on my ass? Am I going to embarrass myself? Blah, 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 blah. But I watch back afterwards and go, wow, that was 120,000 people jumping up and down at the same time. Oh my God, that's incredible. Like, wow, what? I sometimes when I'm in the moment, I'm like so laser focused that I look like I'm not having a good time, but I am having a good time. I'm just trying not to fall over, you know, trying to remember what's next, trying to hit the right button, trying to remember the song.
Yeah.
Trying, I'm working.
I mean, it's high intensity.
Yeah,
isn't
it really is.
Dan and I used to doing gigs where you sort of stand around and wait for the next thing to happen. There's no chance of that happening in Skindred,
Yeah.
is there?
No, it's very
Would
like...
you like a solo? Oh no. Would you like a solo? Oh, there you go, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very... We walk this path of like some controlled chaos, I guess, with what we do. Like there's some stuff going on, like we play to a click and, you know, the set list, more or less, we try and keep it the same on a tour with some variation. If something's not working, we'll pull it out, but it's not different every night. It's not like... I feel like we're at our best when we know somewhat what's going to happen, you know, because then you can be rehearsed and there's less element of chance, but there is chaos in that you never really know what Benji's going to say or do, or there is always this element of like, what is going on? Always. And that's that little sort of 15-20% of chaos is like what keeps it exciting. And yeah, that's it's walking that line between being organized and having your world together and being like, I have no idea what's going on. Brilliant. That's the magic stuff.
Talking of having no idea of what's going on, Whammy won.
Whammy won, baby.
Whammy won.
What did you do with that?
All kinds of good stuff. There's so much good stuff in this box. And I know we were talking about like Tom Morello earlier. You know, obviously I was a big Tom Morello fan. Still am.
Did you like the Night Watchman stuff?
I'm not as familiar with that actually.
Yeah.
Is that the stuff he did with? Well, that's the acoustic.
Yeah.
No, I don't know that so well. I'm not as familiar with that.
It's just so incongruous because when you think of Tom, you think of Rage.
Yeah.
And then to hear him singing these folk songs, these songs of struggle.
Yeah.
It's quite powerful actually.
Yeah, I can believe it.
Apologies for the tangent.
No, do you know what? It's something I've never tuned into, not for any reason other than just being stuck in my ways, I guess, and not coming into my world. But my biggest claim to fame is that I now have Tom Morello's guitar tech. Works for me.
Get in.
There's this amazing chap called Slim Richardson. Google him. He's amazing. He's been Tom Morello's guitar tech since day one. And since like Rage has kind of wrapped things up for the most part, but they're not massively active right now. Slim's like gun for hire, so he's working for me now. And so we sit up and talk about Whammy specs till the early hours. It's really hilarious. He's amazing. He's he's a Welsh guy, and he's like got so many amazing war stories.
I bet.
Really, really, really killer.
So where do we start? Where do we start with this then? What do you do with it?
Okay, so obviously normally this is on the floor and I would have my foot on top of it, but a lot of this, look, turn it on, I'll show you some of the amazing stuff it'll do. It is really cool. Make sure, is this still on? So it'll do, we were speaking earlier about how it's better than all the other ones. It's a bit more like, it's not as rugged as the others, but it has a thing tonally. It sounds really cool. One of the things I love about it the most is that when you cycle through the modes, there's no gap in between them. So you can do this thing where it goes. Which the others don't do. They go. But there's a couple of Tom Morello bits where he'll do that in a song, like in a solo, just go, which I thought is just absolutely genius. Not that I've ever done that, but I just wanted to say that. The main sound I guess I use this for is like the 2-octave up thing,
Right.
which I guess is like a bit like the Killing in the Name solo.
Yeah.
The woo woo woo. It does that really well. I'm trying to think of how I can demonstrate that. I have to get my foot up on the table,
sit
right?
here?
I could do it here. I reckon I could do it like this.
You want a strap?
I could do. I don't think I need it. I reckon I can make it work.
This is rock and roll.
Let's see what happens. When I do
Just
this.
pretend it's a monitor.
Okay. Yay! You've got my arse in your face. I'm so sorry. Yeah, that's the main thing I do with it. Yeah. The 2-octave up thing. I've never had to do it with it on the table. That's quite difficult. Let's feel that.
It's really good. I think now you need to have a whammy on a stool at the front.
Yeah,
And you go out
with a little few steps up to it, like a puppy step up onto a sofa that I can like walk up and then go.
I genuinely think it's the rockest and rollest moment we've ever had on TPS to date.
Good.
Yeah.
Happy to oblige.
Was that from a song?
Yeah. There's a couple of Skindred riffs
Yeah.
that I just threw out there.
Yeah, yeah. So you have all the riffs.
Don't
You've
tell the copyright police.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. A couple of
It was
Skindred riffs.
Skindred-ish.
Yeah.
But
In
even
the style of Skindred.
again, like just with the neck pickup rolled down and that one on, you can kind of do weird, mad nonsense. Which is a lot of the stuff a song would be born out of is weird stuff like that. Like
It's so great.
yeah, it's not something I do turn off these days. But even things for like overdubs,
Yeah.
like making a weird skronky noise on a guitar and then like pitching it up, and it just does something that you can't do with anything else. It doesn't necessarily sound very guitar-y, but it's just using the guitar as like this kind of paintbrush to do horrible shit, basically.
Happy days.
Yeah,
The happiest of days.
I really love the Whammy one. It's really nostalgic and it sounds better than any other incarnation, but it's just I had to retire it because I've had a few. They're very expensive and they're not massively roadworthy.
Honestly, I think when they were designed, someone just went,
That'll do.
should we put it out?
Yeah.
Go on.
It's a weird effect.
We'll only sell a few.
It's a weird effect, but then you think like Dimebag did so much with it. Tom Morello, obviously, that's a massive part of what he does.
Steve Vai.
Yeah. The Edge, all of them have got a massive whammy thing going on. And it'll do loads more. Like, there's a sound it does here, like the deep D tune.
That's my favourite. I was hoping you were going to play that. It's my favourite thing about it.
Yeah, the deep D tune. And it's kind of like it takes one note down 2 notes, but leaves the original. And none of the others do that. So there's there's a Skindred song that does this. So it's like. That's literally just. You know what I mean? You need it to do that, and you can't physically really play that without that.
No.
You can kind of bluff it and go, but it's not the same. But yeah, and it has a load of modes that the others don't, including that. It's quite hard to make others do that thing. It's got a load of other harmonisy sounds which make it kind of sound a bit pedal steely.
Yeah.
Which is really nice.
So cool.
Yeah. It's a really cool pedal and it sounds really rich. It tracks in a really amazing way that they've never really duplicated since. Like that riff for Nobody, which is the scrunk of like the open string, but like it just amplifies that, and the tracking of it just goes. Ah!
Yeah, but also because it's not the new whammies,
Yeah.
polyphonic, which is really great, but that's not. And so there's a glitch
Yeah.
that this has when you play chords, and
Yes.
it's a unique thing that the one has. It's
Yeah.
magic.
Yeah, massive fan of that. I've had a couple of them. One of them got destroyed. I mentioned earlier, it fell out the back of a trailer in the US and got pancaked by a truck on the highway, and it was like a dustbin lid. It was like, "Here's your whammy, sir." I was like, it was flattened. So I retired that one again because they're just too precious, really. They're very expensive, and the power supply thing is the whole thing.
The whole thing.
They're like supposed to run on. I want to say they run on 10 volts, but it's like 9.6 or something, and so
Yeah,
we've
it's
got a
an
9
AC
one will do
thing.
it.
It's the big thing is it has to be an AC supply.
Yeah, super weird.
As opposed to like the line 6 stuff, like you can run that on 12 volts DC. They run on batteries, DC. But the whammy one, AC only, absolutely.
Yeah.
So we've got the honey badger on with that as well, the octave fuzz.
Oh, well, I just hit that by accident.
Okay.
But yeah, sorry, the honey badger. Yes, that's one of our Redbeard ones. It's a fuzz pedal, and it also has this octave mode that does 1 octave down and 2 octaves down.
Oh, wicked!
So
like a blue box.
a bit like a blues box, but a bit more usable.
Everything's more usable than a blue box.
Yeah, my beef with a lot of that old MXR stuff, especially blues box, is it only works when everything's maxed out.
Yeah.
And if you back anything off, it's just like, well, it's quieter than the original signal, all this stuff. And with all our pedals, we wanted them to have like loads of headroom.
Yeah, nice.
So the volume, you never really need it to go above 9 o'clock, let alone sort of midday. They're so loud. But yeah, it does a similar thing where the fuzz does. By turning on the octave mode, you basically can have anywhere between -1 or -2, and I kind of like it somewhere in between. It works better on higher string passes and like neck pickup stuff because it's monophonic and it's analog, so it doesn't want to track like anything digital. People are always asking, "Can I play like detuned riffs in G?" I was like, "Well, you can try, but it's going to sound it's not going to sound like a digital thing."
Awesome.
Hours of fun.
But it's very blue box.
Yeah.
That the way it tracks and glitches and stuff. But I love that you can focus the frequency on where that spit is.
It's tough because the -2, the 2 octaves down, is more of a perceptive feel thing rather than I can clearly hear this note that's 2 octaves. It's not so much like, it's more something you feel, especially when you've got like a big speaker behind you. And I've actually found that bass players really love it because it tracks really well for bass. Like on the bigger strings and the lower down you go, and it's sort of just something you kind of feel, this subharmonic thing, like this weight that when you turn it off, it's like, oh no, I want the 2 octave thing in there again. The one octave sounds easier to hear, but the 2 octaves more of a feel, like it's just bigger.
I'm feeling Mick Spencer blues implosion again. Every now and again that little band comes out and that's the enabler.
You definitely get some blues implosion moments from that one for sure.
And Hairy Squid then, just to finish off the Redbeard range.
Yeah.
This is a fuzz.
So it's 3 different fuzz modes.
Yeah.
It's 3 different types of clipping. It's got like silicone clipping, it's got germanium diode clipping, and LED clipping.
Okay.
So it's 3 very different sounds. I guess like, you know, the germanium's kind of more of a vintagey kind of sound. It's a bit more reserved. Silicon's a bit more full on, and the LED mode is like very modern, very loud, massive headroom. So I want to say that yeah, the middle mode is the LED one, which is the really high headroom. I forget the order of the. I think I want to say germanium's the bottom, silicon's the top. So it's kind of like biggest, littlest.
I think it seemed that way to me.
Yeah.
Hard to tell. That was moving.
Yeah, it's a real. And again, it's like the volume is like there. It's like 9 o'clock. It's
love it.
I don't think we've even really turned them up all the way. You'd have to turn the amp down. They've got so much headroom in them.
Yeah, it depends how you set your amp, doesn't it? That's the thing.
Yeah.
If you've got a high headroom amp, then yeah, sure, you need it low. But some people just like getting a amp going and smashing into it with the pedal just to really send it melting down. So
it's nice because it's like
nice to have the option.
A rhythm guitar fuzz as well as like a lead fuzz, if you like. You know, it's quite a versatile thing.
And it is. Dan and I spend the vast majority of our life in standard tuning.
Yeah.
So it's arresting and exciting and very different to hear what all of these things do in a different register, because it's fundamentally it's a different instrument, isn't it? When it's down there.
Yeah.
Totally.
I guess again, I've never like had my hands on a baritone.
Yeah.
I'd probably be I really got on with it, but it's just the absence of a lefty baritone in my reach is just I've never really tried it. So I guess this is kind of somewhere between a traditional guitar and a baritone, just because of the tuning.
Yeah.
It definitely feels like a big riff machine, but I really enjoy playing in standard too, just because it feels a lot more forgiving, a lot easier. Like these are bigger strings, and it's a bit more like you have to dig in and. But on a guitar in standard with lighter strings, it's like, oh wow,
yeah, right.
This actually feels like whoo. It's like you've been working out on the treadmill all day, and then you just go for a nice stroll with another one.
Unless there's anything else, Dan, you want to cover, I was going to suggest let's finish off talking about the guitar then, because it is very exciting to have your own signature guitar.
It is very exciting.
It started with that one then.
Yeah, let me grab the other one. Oh yeah, thank you. So yeah, this is great.
We
Love
approve of
this.
the colour, obviously.
Yeah, so good.
That's sort of a TPS house colour, that.
Yeah, black and orange is my favourite colour.
Yeah, actually, while you're there,
Yeah,
I want to see how different it is from metallic KO.
have a look. Yeah, I think yours has got a bit more of a sparkle to it. Yours is glossy, this is satin.
Yeah.
So it's kind of got that extra candy vibe.
Yeah.
This is kind of like, I guess it's got a smaller grain and whatever fizz is in there, but it's kind of, they called this atomic tangerine,
Nice.
which I like.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, because you know when Homer Simpson like designed a car and it's like absolutely awful. I'm like, I want it to be this, I want it to be that.
Cast?
Yeah. I was like, it's got to be satin and metallic. Oh, and orange. Oh, and I'm in danger of making like the Homer Simpson guitar because I shouldn't be let loose on these things. But
do you think you can build this? Sort of. Say it with conviction. Sort of.
Yeah, exactly. So it's satin, it's metallic, it's orange, it's got a bit of sparkle to it. It's got all kinds of stuff going on. This was the prototype for the MD2, which was the first guitar they made for me. But the MD1 is like this, but it had some pared down hardware options, basically. Manson do this thing where the guitar's more or less the same, but it has options that you can kind of upgrade to if you like. You know, it had like the cool aluminium hardware and their own pickups as opposed to like Seymour Duncan stuff and locking tuners and flamey woods and things like that. But this is just literally the prototype, which I've never put down. I never gave it back. I was like, this is mine, keeping it. And
Is it a hot rail type thing in the bridge?
it's their own. It's they call that a British Rail iced tea.
Nice.
Because it's not, they have a British Rail tea, which was kind of certain hotness, and the iced tea is slightly cooler. The really hot version was just a bit too much. Like you were saying about like very gainy. I was like, it's too much. Like it's just too much, and it does nothing else for me. So this again, it really only sounds great flat out.
Yeah.
It doesn't clean up great. Not for like traditional Telecaster type playing. I suppose if you could cater the amp around it, but for what you wanted to do, you want it to be like a percussive, like pokey.
Not your game.
Not really. Not for my working day, at least. What I love about it is the telly bridge really brings something to the table. I don't know why. It's just adds some kind of like edge. And again, it's got the PAF in the neck, which is just got a fancy looking cover on it. People ask, what pickup's that? It's like, it's PF. But it just looks
with a nice cover.
Just kind of looks cool. Yeah. And
cool.
Loved the whole big scratch plate thing. I kind of walked in and was like, want to do like a Keith Richards-y custom telly thing, but modern.
If Keith was in Skindred.
If Keith was in Skindred, what would he have? And obviously, this is pretty much it. The next kind of...
Are they... So obviously we can see some basic differences. No pickguard humbuckers. Are they different price points?
So yeah, they were. This one, we made a run of these, and they all went. They can still make them, but they're not currently they're not producing them at the moment. But this was their range that was cut and well, the wood was made in the Czech Republic, all that stuff. Then it comes over to the UK for final assembly, finishing all the good stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas this is completely made in the UK.
Right.
Oh, okay.
So this one's going to be more expensive for just obvious UK reasons. We haven't settled on the final price point yet, but I want to say it's going to be like somewhere between 2.5.
Yeah. Like
the cost of a UK, UK handmade guitar.
More than 10, less than £5,000.
Yeah. And this was kind of like 15, 16-ish.
Oh wow.
And I used both of these every night. I only had this a little while, but we basically wanted to have an option of a guitar that didn't have the telly bridge, have the dual humbucker thing, and also kind of do away with the big scratch plate just to have an option, We kind of had this little cool reverse Firebird thing.
Can we? What I would like to hear is just the difference between the bridge pickups, especially because I'm assuming that's where we're going to hear the biggest
difference. I think so. Yeah,
difference.
This is a bit pokier. This is a bit more rounded.
Yeah,
I think.
yeah. Well, that would.
Yeah, absolutely.
That would make some sense.
I think the amps are off, aren't they?
Oh yeah, I've got to do my magic clicking. I am qualified for this.
You are.
Ready? I'm going to do two at once. Oh no, one goes down, one goes up. How am I going to deal with that? That's like this.
Left brain, right brain.
Okay.
I'd also add that something I had them put into this, which wasn't on any of the production models, but it's got a phase splitting push-pull on this thing. So it doesn't split the coils and make it noisy, but it just changes the order in which the coils work. It changes it from series to parallel or vice versa.
Okay.
But it breaks it down a little bit and it makes it a bit more telly-like. Because there's like a couple of tunes we do where you need that kind of reggae skank.
Yeah.
There'll be tunes where I play like a stick bass thing. Can't do with a big pickup so much,
Yeah.
And I use it for that and like just skanking chords and things which need to sound a little bit brighter, a little bit less when you put it in. Yeah, this one's pokier for sure. Like,
Yeah,
got
but
that
that's-
brightness.
I'm impressed how open that sounds.
Right.
That's very, very cool. It's something that we would associate with more vintage style humbuckers. That it doesn't sound
Right.
overwound and choked.
No. I
Well,
can't
you
stand
were-
that idea, to be
Yeah,
honest.
you were
know.
saying it's more like a PAL.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
very cool.
Because there's nothing more annoying than being like, this is what I do, is in drop C, we play some like, dun, 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 but then like, you just want to be able to go, and play and just do something a
there
bit
is
more
a lot of blues in your playing.
Gibson.
isn't there?
Yeah. I mean, I grew up playing blues guitar, and just
Yeah.
any kind of chops I have are more bluesy than anything else. Less metal, more blues, and it's just. But yeah, and even so, this one is probably more so because it's a ceramic magnet. Something I found out. It's got more like doink, doink, doink. More the combination of the magnet and the surround kind of has this.
Yeah,
Percussive.
I was enjoying it a great deal, especially without the pedal. Actually.
Yeah, me
Just
too. The two amps
real
together.
Spank.
Yeah, loads of spank, really nice. But again, it doesn't clean up. It does the crunch really well.
Yeah.
It doesn't really clean up in a glassy, fendery way.
Sure. Yeah.
It kind of is when you start turning stuff down. It kind of goes. It doesn't brighten up.
Just that.
Yeah, it goes. No, I want to be on 10. I want you to punch people in the face, not stroke them nicely. It kind of just wants to be like slap people around a bit.
It's Mike
Which I love.
Tyson.
Yeah, it's kind of like Les Paul Jr.-y kind of vibe, like bratty, which I've always been a big fan of. Whereas this, I guess you could apply it in a different way, where like it could be more vintage sounding, or push it to do the distorted thing because it will do that, but it will clean up and be in a nicer sounding
Great.
thing too.
Really
They sound
great.
they both sound killer. I mean, obviously, it's your guitar in your hands doing the thing that you do, but
Right.
it's a real tonic to hear something so out of my comfort zone in a way, and I guess maybe not quite so far out of yours, but certainly a little bit out.
Yeah, hearing it done superbly.
It's so inspiring.
Yeah,
It's
it really is,
inspiring.
man.
The down tuning thing is always moves you in a slightly different way, doesn't it?
Yeah,
It's great.
and it's just something I've become used to, and it's funny to hear coming out of that sort of standard ear and going, oh, it's slightly different. It evokes a different feeling.
Yeah.
Like the physicality of how it moves the speaker differently in this room, totally is part of it, and it's just something I'm kind of stuck with now because this is like the tuning we play in, and I don't want to introduce any other tunings really. But yeah, the drop C thing's cool, and like there's a load of Queens of the Stone Age songs that are in drop C, but in a sort of janky, skronky way, and it's kind of got that weird low end that's like, oof, it's got something about it. But I think with just the approach to the guitar, like this model and that model, I was really inspired by like the Jim Root tellies and strats because he's in Slipknot and they're like absolutely savage. But then you'll see these guitars being played by people in like very different bands, not trying to do that thing. And for me, the last thing I wanted to try and put across with Redbeard FX or with anything I put my name to is like, hey, if you want to do what I do,
Sure.
why would you want to do what I do?
Yeah.
Like, that's the last thing you want to be doing. It's like, you want to be doing your own thing. And I want to be able to make stuff that allows you to do your own thing in like a authentic way. And so I've no interest in like passing the torch of weirdness, like in a very specific way on. I want stuff to be like weird and different and people do their own thing with it. And it be versatile in that way, not specific, not like this is the Skindred sound. Like forget the Skindred sound. You want like your sound, and you want like these things to help you do that and make it like really awesome.
Awesome.
Fantastic.
I think that is a wonderful message on which to leave it.
Yeah.
Mikey, thanks so much.
Yeah, dude.
Thank you so
It's
much for
been
having
awesome,
me.
man.
Dan,
Thank you so
thanks for
much.
organising this.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Dan organised this. It's been an education and a reaffirmation of loud, aggressive guitar, and it is a marvellous thing. And I guess we thank you on behalf of the whole flipping world
Yep.
for doing it.
Indeed.
Thank you so much for having me. It's
Yeah.
a real honour to be here.
We'll see you at Wembley.
Oh my god! I can't believe it.
So, skindred.net,
Yeah.
do that. Check out redbeardfx.com,
Yep.
I guess.
.com, yeah.
Yep. We'll put all the links below along with our preferred retailers and all of that kind of stuff. So check out everything else. Please buy a shirt. Go on, do it. Helps us stay in the game. And please subscribe
Indeed.
for more of this fun.
Yeah. Thank you, buddy.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
We'll see ya.
Bye.